All right, welcome back to the show. We were just talking about the Charles Payne video and how Russell Simmons left it off saying that we need decent healthcare, decent education in this country. And I said, well, look at all the money. We put millions and billions of dollars into the healthcare and education system, and it's still not good. It's still not to the point where we want it. Actually, it's decreasing. I mean, look at healthcare costs going up. I've seen it firsthand. And look at education. Our education is going down the tubes. Our teachers are being run ragged. Not enough supplies. Our kids are failing. I mean, the No Child Left Behind Act just totally screwed us, thanks to George Bush, because it costs way too much money and it's not helping. It's actually making things worse. So pouring more money into something that doesn't work is a failing idea. It's never going to work. It's just like Solyndra, which I'm sure none of you have heard because the media doesn't talk about it. But Obama approved a loan to Solyndra, which was a solar panel company that was failing, and they were told not to do it because the company could go out of business within a year. But Obama still gave them the money, approved a $500 million loan, and the company went out of business within a year. So it's the same premise. If you give money to something that's failing, it's not going to work. It's going to make it worse. You're going to lose money, and you're going to create a worse lifestyle. All right, so let's finish up the video here, and then we'll move on to the questions I believe you should ask yourself and the protesters of this movement. All right, here's Russell Simmons.
And they believe that our government, in some cases, should fund decent health care, a decent education, a decent opportunity. And there are others who believe I did it myself. But we know that isolation is referring to as a sickness. And we as a society, have to represent the people and the individuals and not the corporations.
Look, you do well in this country, you do well by this country. I don't know, I like Charles. Charles is a great guy. Nobody's questioning his hard work, and frankly, nobody's questioning the hard work of people who do well in this society. The question is,
yes, you are. You're going after every single rich person in this country, which they didn't get there. They weren't handed that money from God. I mean, it wasn't like God was like, here you go, you're going to be the rich people of this generation. No, either their family earned it before them, or they earned it themselves, like Charles Payne. Or how about Chris Gardner? You know, the movie the Pursuit of Happiness? He went from sleeping in a public bathroom with his son to being a millionaire because he worked hard and did it the right way. Are we going to punish those people for doing that? I mean, you're saying that it's fine to work hard and do that, but then who didn't work hard for the money? To become a CEO, I mean, I'm pretty sure you listening right now, you don't have a chance to become a CEO because you're probably just working your regular job and you're not moving up in a company. So a CEO, it's not like God blessed them with, you're going to be the CEO for life. That's what you're going to do. You're just going to move from company to company and be a CEO. No. At one point, somebody worked up the chains, either started the business, became a CEO, or worked up the chain enough where they became a CFO or COO and proved themselves, and other companies take chances on them because they see that they have a record of being a good CEO. And that's why you see these CEOs bounce around. And honestly, some of them are bad. If anybody pays attention to the tech world like I do, Palm, which was bought by HP, John Rubinstein, which used to work for Apple, moved to Palm and kind of ran Palm into the ground. And then he goes to HP, and they're not sure. When HP bought Palm, they really weren't sure what to do with him because they kind of didn't want him. So if you're a bad CEO, you're not gonna be staying the CEO forever. So people work hard to get to these positions. And again, like a CEO isn't. If you know anything about a public company that offers shareholdings, they have a board of directors. It's a republic. It's almost like a mini republic in a company. These CEOs don't dictate if they stay as a CEO or not. The board votes them in or votes them out, and any other position in the company. So it's not like they dictate where they're at. So shareholders have a voice every single time in these companies. So if you're going to blame CEOs, blame the boards and change the boards. If the board of directors is too evil in a company that you think, then do what you can to try to change it. If you're a shareholder, do what you can. Or vote with your dollar. If a company you don't like is treating somebody bad or what have you, you can vote with your dollar by not spending your dollar there and going to a competitor. That's how the free market works. I know say there was no child labor laws, say I went to Apple and they have children building their iPhones and their iPads for them and paying them 50 cents a day or something like that. I would I know many of you don't believe this, but I would not shop at Apple. I will not buy an iPhone because I don't support that. Why do I want to give money to something I don't support and I think is evil? And that's how you take down these companies. If you don't protest, you don't break windows, you don't create violence, you vote with your dollar. The capitalist system will work itself out. So again, back to people work hard for their money, and you're telling them that they need to give that money back. How is that fair? That's like going to an average guy making $50,000 and saying, you don't need that much. We're going to take some of that away from you. Well, that's not fair. He earned that money. He worked all year long for that $50,000. And now you want to take something away? Like that? That's not how this country works. And it will never work that way. God forbid that it even comes to that. Where communism sets in and says, listen, everybody gets the same rate. You can't make more, you can't make less. Like, what is that going to do to morale? If you know you can't work up in a company, or you can't, the harder you work means, the same pay. It just brings the lifestyle down. People stop innovating. People stop working hard, stop moving up in companies, and really the rich people, like if the people who own businesses, have to make the same amount of money as their employees. Why are they going to work hard to expand jobs or expand a company? It doesn't matter to them. They're only going to make $50,000 from the government anyway, so why should they even go to the work to do that? So these are the things you need to ask yourself. All right, let's finish this video clip here.
The larger issue is that in this country, you can't just work hard and get ahead and do well anymore.
And she's kind of right, because the government doesn't allow you. It really does not. The policies that are in place in our federal government does not allow you to be able to start a business easily. It really doesn't. That's what we need to do. Open up the doors to make it easier for people to just start their own businesses and create their own ideas.
That used to be the American dream. Now listen, let's be really, really clear. There are legal structures in this country that are enforced. Your patents, your policy, they're all enforced by our courts, which we pay for. If you drove a product to roads, they're roads that we pay for. Wait a second.
And you drove on those roads to get somewhere. You paid for them too. I paid for them. So what's the difference? If I'm a millionaire, I still pay for the same road that you paid for. And actually, I paid more of it because I pay a higher tax rate. These people say that, well, let me just finish the clip here.
Yeah, wait a second. All I'm saying is all these people are saying is that we should have an opportunity for other hardworking people to do well. Can Charles...
What percentage of taxes should someone pay to support that? That's all I want to know.
We could talk about... Charles, that's a great question, but right now the wealthy are paying a lower tax rate than that.
Wrong. They are not paying a lower tax rate. And let me quickly go through this. From $8,000 to $34,000, the tax rate is 15%. From $83,000 to $174,000, it's 28%. And then to $379,000 or more, you pay 35%. That's the income tax. That it's a total lie. Don't believe these lies that you hear in the media, that average person pays a higher tax rate than the rich do. Now, when it comes to capital gains, there's a lot of incentives to not pay taxes, like GE or GM or any of those big corporations that are in bed with the government. All right, so before we leave for the night, let me just go through Glenn Beck, my good buddy Glenn Beck. Say what you will about him. he came up with about 200 questions to ask these Wall Street protesters. And I just want to go through a couple of them because they are good questions to ask. Because everybody seems though they want to collapse the system into something else, and nobody really wants to think about what happens afterwards. So starting with the economy, listen to some of these questions. Name the time in history that the global economy collapsed, as it is shaping up to do now. Can you name a time in history books that the entire global economy, I mean, you look at the euro, it's about to crash any second now. The only country that seems to be safe right now is China. But everybody else is going to be collapsing like a domino. It's going to be a domino effect. If you cannot, please explain to me why or why not. If you were to plan a global economic collapse, how long would it take between the corrupt system we currently have and the new system yet to be created? Would there be unintended consequences? Could people die? If none, why? If yes, estimate how many and how do you justify those deaths? By collapsing the system, Wall Street, and causing economic chaos, how does that make you different than one of the corporations you are protesting? Which is a good point. If you're going to be causing... Listen, if you cause a collapse of the system, you're talking about a economic system that's not working, which means trucks aren't bringing food to stores, which means people aren't eating, which means people are going to die, whether it's from chaos or from just not eating. So if you're saying these corporations are killing people for what they're doing, then what makes you different from them? Okay, under the fair share category, let's see. Actually, no, let's move to, because we only have a couple minutes here. Let's move to capitalism is destroying America category. Who built the Lincoln Center for Performing Arts? Who built MoMA? Who built the New York Public Library? Carnegie Hall? Carnegie Mellon University? The National Gallery of Art? What is the relationship between Rockefeller Center and Columbia University? Does this mean capitalism helped Columbia University? How did capitalism help Columbia? So if you actually look into these are the questions you should be asking yourself and other protesters. That how did all these things were built? Were they built by the government? I mean, just Carnegie Hall alone shows you that it was not built by the government. How did capitalism help Columbia? Does capitalism help or hurt Columbia today? Let's see. All right, under the investigations and financial category, why has the administration not done investigation on the banks or bankers? Why hasn't this administration done investigation on the Fed? Why hasn't this administration done investigations on Freddie or Fannie or Sallie Mae? Which is a good point because Freddie and Fannie own 98% of the country's mortgages at this point because they own countrywide, nationwide, and all that. So why aren't they being... they're the ones that are sitting... This might be another topic for another show, but they're some of the most corrupt organizations in the government. And they own most of our mortgages, which is scary. And the last question here before we have to go. Why has no one except Bernie Madoff gone to jail under this or the last president? So, Bernie Madoff broke the law, and he went to jail. So let's follow suit. If these guys broke the laws, let's go after them and put them in jail. All right, that's it for the show this week. I appreciate you listening. We'll be back next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. See you then. Bye.